Okay, today what we are going to do is we're going to create some components that we cannot find in the library. Now let's first off, let's open up a new project first. Alright, as usual we will do the schematic design default. Right, so just create one. Okay, now let's try to find the library part. Let's say I go to the connector.cml, right? And if you can find here, there's a lot of different types of connectors, right? Now what I need is a 6-way connector, but there isn't a 6-way connector. There is at most a 5-way connector. So what I need is to create a library now. Now to create a library, you can click on this icon, or you can alternatively press Ctrl F. Now the first thing we want to do is to go to Schematic, and we first need to create our own schematic library. Now remember, all you need is just to create one schematic library, but make sure you put it at the right place where all the rest of the libraries are. Right? So if I click on Design Spark, I click on Library, this is where all your libraries are. Right? So all you need is to create one single library. Okay? You can name it under your name or any generic name like self make. Okay? And note that the extension is .ssl because it's a schematic library. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Right. So right now I would have and go to this library. If you look at this, after we created this library, okay, we can see that there's library contents is 0, means there's no items inside here. Now let's start by creating an item. Let's click on a new item. Right, it will open up an untitled new item. You can see the things here. Okay, it's for you to start drawing. But before we start drawing, let's check a few things. Let's go to the settings. Let's take a look at our units. Okay, it now is in thousands. Okay, it doesn't really matter which dimension you want to use. It's just that you don't want the diagram to appear too big later. It doesn't really matter as long as it doesn't appear too big. Let's go to tau and to precision, and now let's go to settings again and check the grid. We say 50 tau per grid. I suppose that's good enough. Let's zoom in a bit. So this between one dot to the next dot is 50 tau. Right, you don't want to draw your diagram too big. If not, later you will not fit into the rest of the project. Okay. So now this icon here is the pad. Add pad, you can click on add form, or you can just click here, and now you can click. Now let's space them 2 apart. It doesn't really matter how much you space at this point. Now remember, I need 6 of them. So after I finish, I do a right click and do cancel. Right, there's a lot of readings here. F is the symbol origin. Right, you can put the symbol origin anywhere. Right, and then this is the N1 is the pin name, while this one here is the pin number. Right, you can hide them later, it doesn't really matter. With pads, now we want to place the line, so I select the line, but before I draw, I do a right click, change style. You can choose bars, line, normal, outlines, simple outlines. Let's choose a line 5, so that it goes thinner. Click OK, and click again. Let's draw it this long. You click, and then you drag, left click again. Left click, drag, left click again. Now we want to continue some of drawings. And right click, freestyle. I'm just going to do something. Make it looks nicer. Just something like so that it kind of like look like a connector, a 16 connector. So right click, let's try to create the origin in the middle of the symbol, right? And then the pin name, I can put it right here. It's up to you really. Shift the wrong pin. Let's shift on the pin name. Yeah. And then let's arrange our pin number near to the pins. Okay, looks like we got it done. We got symbol. Okay, the next step is to save, right? So you want to save. Make sure that it's going to save in the library that you created just now, and you can give it a symbol name. In this case, I want to just do a 6-way key just to be consistent with the rest of the symbol, right? Okay. After that, you can close. Now, if you open up back the library, you can see that in this library, you have one item. If you click on the preview, you can see this item, right? You can actually edit or remove and do other things. Now, this is just a schematic symbol. Okay, our job is not finished here yet. Now we're going to move on to creating a PCB symbol. Now, again, you have to create a new library. Again, it has to be inside the library. Okay, over here. But now this time it's called PSL, it's not SSL, because it's a PCB symbol. Now, same thing, you can actually use the same name. You can use the same name with the different extension. Okay, let me say different extension. And I'm going to create that library. And note that now I've switched to this new library again. There's nothing inside here. Now let's move on by creating a new item in the PCB symbol. Okay, settings, units. Now in PCB symbol, what we prefer normally is to use mils, right? Instead of thou and cms and everything. We normally choose mils over anything else. You don't really need a precision over there. Okay. And for the grids, you want it to set to most of the time 50 mil, 50 mil. But there are times where your symbol pairs will be different, so you might want to choose a different X and Y. Now in this case, I know that my pins are actually 100 mils apart, so it's okay to set 50 mils. It is important to know that the physical pins are part of your component at this point. So right now I'm going to place the first pad. It looks very small, so I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to place my first pad. Now, the first and the second pad has to be 100 mils apart according to the component specification. Okay, through-hole components pin-to-pin spacing is 100 mils. Okay, especially for the 6-way pins that I'm going to design. So I'm going to put this. If you put it at the wrong space, if you set the wrong spacing, okay, everything will go haywire later. Okay. Now again, this is my symbol's origin. I can put it right in the middle. Okay, I'm going to draw an outline for this fella. And the outline, I'm going to draw a rectangular shape. Okay. And I suppose I'm done. Okay. Now, to know that which layer you are drawing on, the concept of layer when you draw this PCB symbol is important. Now if you click on this, okay, you go to the bottom, okay, at the bottom here it says top documentation layer. You click on the pad, okay, it says all layer, right? And then you click on this wording, it doesn't say anything. Now I want to create another layer of a rectangular, a new rectangular, but I'm going to change to a top silk screen, okay? So that on my PCB I have a silk screen on the top, right? I'm going to click OK. Now I am going to draw the same rectangular shape, but this time it's on a silk screen layer, okay? Now what you can also do is to identify your first pin, you can change this to a different shape. What you can do is select this, right click, go to change style. On pad, if you take a look at this, you just change to a square, right? And then you click OK. Now so we can identify this as our pin 1 later. Now I'm done with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on save, and now it makes me key in a symbol name. Now note that I can also use the same name because it's a different library, different type of symbol. This is a PCB symbol. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close this, and let me go back to the library. And now you can see, if I click on preview and select this part, I can see this. Now for the final step is to tie the schematic symbol that we created here and the PCB symbol that we created here into one component, just so that we can use that component. If we do not tie these two together, we are unable to use the component. Now again I go to components, and again I click on new library. Again you have to create a library under design spark, but now it's called CML. Okay, now this is quite familiar to you because you have used libraries in the .cml to place your parts before. Okay, again I can use the same name, okay, but because this is a .cml, so I save this library, right? So under this library again there's no contents, okay? So right now what I'm going to do is going to add a new component, but instead of doing that, let's try using the wizard, okay, to tie the two parts together. I mean the two parts that we created earlier on. Let's go to next, okay, let's start. Okay, we want to create a normal component, okay? Now you need a name for the component. It's called 6WP. Package type, you can use a user, for example, since there's no class there. Now you need a reference. Okay, a reference is always fixed there. So if you place the first part, for example, we would is a pin. So let's choose CONN. Now if you place one part later, it will be CONN1. If you put the second part, it will be CONN2, and so on and so forth. That's why the default reference is important. Okay, component pins. Remember we created 6 pins just now. Number of gates we just keep it as 1 because in the package there's only one of this part. Go to next. Now we have to go to the library that we created. Remember, it's called self-make. Now in this library, if you can find the schematic symbol, this is a schematic symbol. We select this, it says 6 pin, we go to the next. Now we find the PCB symbol. Again, it's selfmade.psl, and we click this. We found the schematic symbol just now, and we found this PCB symbol now. So we click next. Now is the assignment. Okay, this is the schematic pin, this is the PCB pin. Okay, you can of course put them one. Okay, you can do them manually, or I would do one-to-one assignment. Right? So just make sure in our case we want pin 1 on the schematic goes to pin 1 on the PCB, pin 2 on the schematic go to pin 2 on the PCB, and so on and so forth. Everything matches, right? There's no common pin. Okay, and then we go to next, and we want to save it where? In this library that we just created. Okay, we click finish. Now if you give it a moment, now look at this. Okay, it's inside here, and this is the schematic, this is the PCB symbol. Now if we close it, now we can place these parts. Okay, this is a new schematic design that I created just now. I press F3, then I go on to let's look at my library that I created. Okay, if we go to selfmade.cml, if you can find it here, you click on this. You only have one part, it's okay, we just add. Right, look at this. Okay, let's zoom in and take a look. Okay, you see this is the part reference CONN1, the name, the type. Well, you can hide the information if you don't want to. Let's hide some information. We want the right name, the pin. Let's hide the pin name. So let's hide the package. Okay, let's apply. Okay, this looks good. Okay, you can put it on your side. Right. Now, if I translate this to a PCB, I'm just going to do a standard one because I just want to show you how the parts looks like. Alright. Okay. I'm going to position it inside. Now this is how it looks like. Let's try to see if I have a 3D viewer. I might not. 3D you need to create. Oh yes, it's there. If you look at that, this is the part that I just created. Okay, that's all for the lesson today. Thank you very much.